It starts quietly. No alarms, no breaking news banner, no emergency meeting broadcast on TV. A bank in one country hesitates to lend money overnight, just for a day, just to be safe. And somewhere else, thousands of kilometers away, a company that's never heard of, that bank suddenly can't pay its workers. That's how financial crises actually spread. Not with a push of a button, but with hesitation. Pause. Right now, this matters more than most people realize, because the system that moves money around the world has become faster, tighter, and more fragile than it looks from the outside. We're told crises are caused by villains, greedy bankers, reckless governments, bad decisions. That makes us feel better, because villains are rare. What's uncomfortable is this. Most financial crises spread because everyone is acting rationally. Let's rewind. Imagine the global financial system as a giant neighborhood where everyone lends sugar to everyone else. Not out of kindness, out of habit. Banks lend to banks. Funds lend to funds, countries lend to countries. All day, every day. Most of this money isn't long term, it's overnight. Sometimes just for a few hours. This is called short-term funding. It's the invisible oil that keeps the engine running. And here's the first uncomfortable truth. The system only works if nobody asks too many questions. Because the moment someone does, the math changes. Let's say Bank A normally lends money to Bank B every night. No problem, they've done it for years. But one day, Bank A hears a rumor, not proof, not a headline. A whisper. Maybe Bank B has too much exposure to real estate. Maybe one of its borrowers is shaky, so Bank A hesitates. It doesn't pull the money completely, it just asks for a slightly higher interest rate. That tiny change is the crack, because Bank B also borrows from Bank C, and Bank C sees the higher rate and thinks, why is Bank A nervous? Now Bank C hesitates too. Suddenly Bank B is paying more to borrow the same money it needs to survive the day. Nothing has collapsed yet, but gravity has shifted. This is how crises start, not with explosions, with pricing. And pricing spreads faster than fear. By the time the news reaches the public, the damage is already done. Now zoom out. Banks don't operate in isolation. They hold assets, loans, bonds, securities. When funding gets expensive, banks need cash, fast, so they sell assets. But when many banks sell at the same time, prices fall. Here's the irony. Those falling prices make balance sheets look weaker, which scares lenders even more, which raises borrowing costs again. This loop feeds itself. No villain needed, just math and timing. And this isn't limited to banks. Pension funds rely on short-term markets. Insurance companies do too. Even governments. In 2020, parts of the US Treasury market froze. The safest assets on Earth, not because they were risky, but because everyone wanted cash at the same time. Liquidity disappeared. That word gets used a lot. Liquidity. Here's what it actually means. It means being able to sell something without begging. And in a crisis, nobody wants to buy. They want to survive. This is where the system reveals its second weakness. Everyone is connected through collateral. Collateral is supposed to make things safer. You lend money, you get something valuable in return. But when asset prices fall, collateral loses value. So lenders ask for more of it. Margin calls. That's the phrase people hear right before everything accelerates. If you can't post more collateral, your positions are liquidated, which pushes prices down further, which triggers more margin calls. Again, no button, no command center, just automatic responses stacked on top of each other. Now, here's where it gets truly uncomfortable. Most of the people inside the system don't fully see the whole picture. Traders see their book, risk managers see see their models. Executives see reports with delays. By the time someone realizes what's happening, incentives are already locked in. If you're the first to pull back, you're cautious. If you're the last, you're reckless. So everyone rushes to be early. That rush creates the crisis. Think about that. Trying to be safe is what makes the system unsafe. This is why crises feel sudden. They're not. They're silent until they're everywhere. Now let's talk about the hidden mechanism most people miss. Intermediaries. Modern finance doesn't move money directly from saver to borrower. It passes through layers, banks, funds, clearinghouses, dealers. Each layer takes a small slice. Each layer depends on the next one functioning perfectly. The system assumes trust will always be there tomorrow. When trust breaks at one layer, it cascades. In 2008, it wasn't just bad mortgages. It was the assumption that markets would always be liquid. They weren't. In 2022, the UK pension crisis wasn't about pensions failing. It was about leverage inside supposedly boring strategies. Same pattern, different costume. Here's the part that sounds absurd until you think about it. Financial crises spread because no one is in charge of stopping them. Central banks can slow them. Governments can patch holes. But they react. The system moves first. By the time emergency measures are announced, the chain reaction is already deep. This creates the illusion of control. Rate cuts, bailouts, liquidity facilities. They don't prevent crises. They contain the damage. And sometimes they quietly move risk somewhere else, which sets the stage for the next one. This is the contrast nobody likes to talk about. The hype says markets are efficient, rational, self-correcting. Reality is messier. Markets are efficient at transmitting stress, not wisdom. Speed is their advantage and their weakness. As systems become faster, the margin for error shrinks. High-frequency trading, instant settlements, global capital flows. Great in calm times, dangerous in panic. Now zoom out even further. Why does this matter to people who don't trade or run banks? Because when money freezes, real life follows. Businesses can't roll debt. Projects stop, hiring pauses. Credit tightening hits households last, but hardest. The irony is cruel. By the time the average person feels the crisis, the financial system is already stabilizing. Losses have been absorbed. Positions reset. The pain moves outward. And here's the final uncomfortable question. If crises spread automatically, without villains, without buttons, without clear decision makers, can they ever really be prevented? Or are they the price of a system built on speed, leverage, and trust that resets through stress? We've made money move faster than human judgment. That's not a moral failure.